All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome in. Whiskey and Wine post-game show. LSU falls to Texas A&M 49-25 is your final. And to be perfectly candid, when the Aggies went up 35-18 on the 24-yard touchdown where nobody seemed to give a shit about tackling, I didn't really watch the rest. I mean, it was on. I listened. I glanced from time to time. But I wasn't locked. I didn't chart anything after 35-18. So, and if we're being perfectly honest, my guess is most of you don't give a good goddamn about me walking you through the play-by-play of this football game. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pour a little Pinhook, shout out, Pinhook, the 9-year vertical. I'm going to light my Bocock Brothers premium cigar. It's a delicious sound. And I'm going to sit here and allow you all the opportunity to bitch as much as you want, because you watch that game, you've earned the right to bitch as much as you want. Shout out to Pinhook Bourbon, pinhookbourbon.com. Delicious. And we'll talk about the things that you actually want to talk about, which my guess is, are they going to fire Brian Kelly? Are they going to fire Joe Sloan? Are they going to fire Brad Davis? Are they going to fire Scott Woodward? Are they going to win another game? All that shit, which I think is all very valid right now. So we'll get into it. Very quickly, what's interesting about, if I were to give you a big picture thought right now, the most disappointing part of that game is this was your season on the line, right? I mean, I think we all understand 1 year sample of the 12-team playoff to know, but 9-3 ain't going to get you in. You got to go 10-2. So you got to run the table. Right? And I don't think any of us realistically thought that was possible, right? Given the fact that you had lost to Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and what you had ahead with tonight against A&M, given you've lost 2 road games at Ole Miss, at Vanderbilt, hard to imagine you're going to win at Alabama, at Oklahoma, and then tonight's ball game. So I don't think any of us thought realistically this team was going to win out. But the guys in the locker room, the coaches, if you wanted to keep that dream alive, then you needed to win out, which started with this ball game tonight. And to get the shit kicked out of you so thoroughly is it's hard. Hard to comprehend that. And you know, the most perplexing part of this tonight, I'll go big picture. I know everybody I'm letting the audience build, and I'll go big picture. Nobody wants to talk about Kelly. Are they going to fire him? I'll tell you what I know. So someone just said, fire Scott Woodward. Look, here we go. Fire Scott Woodward, fire Brian Kelly. Joe Sloan needs to go. I'm looking at all of them. I get it. Like, and I'm going to get into all that. But you fought really hard for a half, and you were leading 18-14 at half, and you come out in the third quarter and you give up a 21-point third quarter to Texas A&M. I mean, they outscored you 35-7 in the second half. I mean, it was you were winning 18-14 at half. They outscored you 35-7 in the second half. I mean, thoroughly kicked the shit out of you in the second half. So with everything on the line and your home crowd and all the stuff, to put up that effort in the second half, I mean, they went right down the field to start the third quarter. Not that you need a fucking reminder, but 9 plays, 56 yards, 4:12 off the clock, touchdown. That was after they returned the kickoff 43 yards to start the second half. So 9 plays, 56 yards, 4:12. They have the lead. You go 3 and out. They return the punt 79 yards for a touchdown. Now you're down 10. You get the ball. You convert a 3rd and 5. Then you punt. On the 52-yard punt, you have an illegal formation. You have to repunt. They muff it and recover. It ends up being a 28-yard penalty. 1, 2, 3, 4 plays later, they're in the end zone. 4 plays, 50 yards, and they're up 35-18, and the fucking game was over. I mean, it was just an avalanche there in the third quarter. All right. I think everyone wants to know, are they going to fire Brian Kelly? Let's start there. Last week after they lost to Vanderbilt, I know a lot of people had that question. And what I was told in no uncertain terms was that there was no appetite to spend $50 million to fire Brian Kelly. Okay. The other thing, and by the way, I'm just relating to you what I was told. I'm not giving you my opinion. Okay, I'm just sharing information with you. All right, let's be very clear. So I'll be very clear when I'm giving you my opinion and when I'm telling you things that I've been told or what I'm confident sharing. There's no appetite to spend $50 million to buy him out. And the understanding was, look, you lost on the road. You lost close games on the road to Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. While you may look at it and go, that's Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, that's 2 top 10 teams. Okay. So, again, this is not my opinion. I'm just telling you things, conversations I had last weekend after the loss to Vanderbilt. So, the thought was not spending $50 million. You lost close games on the road to top 10 teams. Okay. Again, someone said, here comes the excuses. I'm not defending it. Listen to me, assholes. Listen, you stupid fuck sticks. I'm not in the mood, okay? Hang on. Where are you? Here come the excuses. No, you stupid fuck stick. Listen to me, okay? I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you things I was told from people who would actually be part of decision-making last week. All right, do you want fucking information or not? I'll give you information. I'll tell you things. But don't come at me with this bullshit, all right? Nobody's in the mood for that. Today sucked dick, all right? It was an awful fucking football day. So, don't tell me easy, fuck you. Easy, Matt. No, fuck you. I'm not in the mood for this shit. Like, I'm being abundantly clear about what I'm saying, and then I have people come at me and say I'm misrepresenting something. I'm not. Okay. So, for those who actually have the time, temperament to listen, again, LSU loses to Vanderbilt last week. Again, I'm not giving you an opinion. I'm just sharing you what I was told. Lose to Vanderbilt. No appetite to spend $50 million to buy Brian Kelly. Close road losses, top 10 teams, whatever. I believe the more you lose as this goes along, the more that probably starts to change. a game like this is inexcusable. Inexcusable, indefensible. It's year 4. All the money they spent on this roster, everyone should have a greater expectation than this. You know, they went all in behind Garrett Nussmeier, a fifth-year senior. Thinking, all right, here you go. You got your fifth-year senior, coaches established his culture, you've got continuity on staff, go all in the portal, which they did. And this was a preseason top 10 team in the country. A team that was returning a quarterback on a team that threw for, you know, they were top, I think they were 7th in the country last year in passing offense, 25th in total offense. The expectation was you'd be good on offense again, go spend all the money in the portal on defense, get better on defense, go make a run. See if you can get to 10-2, get in the playoff, make a run. That was the thought. You beat Clemson to start the season. Everyone was very high on them. And just very clearly, everything has gone awry. I mean, the bottom line is, look, we've talked about it plenty in this season so far with the offense. You finally scored 25 tonight. I'm joking. I mean, you literally did, but I'm joking. I'm not saying you should hang a banner. But your offensive line is a giant problem, and it compounds every issue you have. I was doing an interview before the game on a national show, and they said, what's the key? I said, look at the rushing stat after the game. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm looking at it. I said, look at the rushing stat. That'll tell you the game. A&M, rushing yards, A&M 224, LSU 60. There's your game. So, all that to say, I do wonder if you lose a game like this, the manner in which you lost it, which is wholly inexcusable. Like, nobody is going to sit here and tell you this is acceptable. Losing is one thing. Teams are going to lose games, especially in this era of college football where you have more parity. But getting the shit kicked out of you 49-25 with your season on the line is inexcusable. It's indefensible. There's nothing. Even if a team is better than you, you're on your home field, have some pride. You were leading at halftime, and in the second half, they just pummeled you. It's not okay. So let's say hypothetically you go into the bye, you lose to Bama, you go to, let's see where they're 5-3 right now. Let's say you lose to Bama, you're 5-4. Let's say you beat Arkansas, Western Kentucky. Get to 7-4, you lose to Oklahoma, you go 7-5. Is that enough? Is that enough for the decision makers, the ones that actually stroke the checks, to fire Brian Kelly? Couple things to keep in mind, and this is maybe a little like higher level than you're probably considering with this conversation. Number one, the head coach ultimately works for the athletic director, right? And Scott Woodward is the AD that hired Brian Kelly. So ADs are not usually quick to fire the coach that they hired because that's internal reflection on them. Well, who does the AD work for? Well, the board, the president, effectively hire the AD, but they work at the pleasure of the governor. Well, the governor and Scott Woodward are on different sides of the aisle, and the governor is not super pumped about the way Scott Woodward spends money. So there's one way to look at it and say, would the governor want to push for a new athletic director? Maybe, I don't know. It's not my job to determine that. But if part of it is spending money, are you really going to spend $50 million to make a coach not coach? I don't know. And then you have to decide if you want to get the money together to buy out Brian Kelly. Like, let's just play that hypothetical. You want to get the money together to buy out Brian Kelly. And by the way, there is mitigation in his contract. Last week after they lost to Ole Miss, after they lost to Vanderbilt, I did get his contract. I personally have looked at Brian Kelly's. It's on my phone. I've looked at his contract. He does have mitigation, meaning if he got fired, got a new job, even in media. So let's say he didn't coach, but got a job doing TV. Then his buyout would be offset by his salary at his new place. And his contract's through 2031. So it would be monthly installments between now and 2031. So you'd be talking about 6 years. So that makes the hit of that financial hit lessen, right? So I guess all that to say, like, there's ways to do it. I don't know how much of an appetite there is to do it now. Keep losing badly. You may, especially after the board just announced they're raising ticket prices. You may, what timing for that, right? You may get to the point where it's more cost prohibitive not to make the change, right? Because if you start to lose donors and boosters and ticket holders and all that stuff. So that's where I think it is right now. I've said this and I'll say it again. I said it all this week on radio on Locked on LSU, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed to Locked on LSU, please do so. I'd appreciate it. I think your best way out of this, like if you want a clean way out of it, is if Pinhook, vertical series, 9-year. Is it Brian Kelly leaves, like retires? And I don't have any great insight or information into this, but I've covered Brian Kelly since he showed up here. And what I'll tell you is, I think, John said he ain't going to retire. John, I'm going to tell you this, man. Again, I'm going to be very clear. Like, I don't have inside information. I haven't asked Brian Kelly if he wants to retire. What I do know is that if he retires, his contract becomes void. So you don't owe him the balance. If he retires, you don't owe him the balance of the deal. And I do wonder, here you have a guy that's 63 who came here to win a title because he figured he'd have the resources and all to do it. The 3 guys before him did. And this was supposed to be the all-in year, right? This was your fifth-year senior quarterback returning. You spent a ton of money in the portal. I mean, he gave the number, right? Not me guessing. Brian Kelly said he gave the number. $18 million. Holy shit. Today's Brian Kelly's birthday. Someone just said he turned 64 today. Good point. I totally missed that. Today's his fucking birthday. What a birthday present. Ooh, get your ass kicked by Texas A&M. Don't remember that one. Anyway, I stand corrected. He's 64 years old. So he's 64. This was an all-in year. It's obviously not going to end well. Next year, you're losing Nuss and you're losing all these transfers, right? Just run down the list. Thompson on offense, Josh Thompson, Berrien Brown, Bauer Sharp. I'm just looking at the seniors. Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thomas. Guys that are all gone. You're Nuss. Pyburn, Peyton, Gooden, Butler, Guillory, West Weeks, Delane's going pro, Halsey. You see my point? Like, this whole team's gone. Like, next year is a total rebuild of the roster. Like, does he want to hang around for that? I don't know. But I think it's a fair question to ask. Like, do you really want to hang around for that? For a rebuild? So, let me take a quick moment. 6,200 people watching. Appreciate y'all greatly. I know everybody's in a cranky mood. I do want to shout out Gottlieb Light Installers. You can see the lights behind me on the little palm trees. Gottlieb was at our house today. They got our look. I know everybody's pissed. I get it. Everyone's pissed. I don't blame you for being pissed. I'm pissed as well. But I'm very grateful for Gottlieb sponsoring us here. Gottlieb Light Installers. They come to your house. They install your Christmas lights. It looks awesome. They do all the work. They worked their asses off today. They did a great job. They were here at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Got our whole house all done. The front looks beautiful. At the end of the season, Christmas season, they come, take everything down, haul it away. Could not be easier. They work within a 30-mile radius of Baton Rouge. GottliebLights.com, GottliebLights.com, GottliebLights.com. I need to put that in the chat. GottliebLights.com, GottliebLights.com, GottliebLights.com. Please, I would appreciate it greatly if you all would, if you're interested, if you give them a shout and let them come give you that estimate. People always ask, well, what does it cost? It really depends. It depends on how much square footage you have. It depends on what you want done. Like, do you want just the front of your house? Do you want your roof done as well? Do you want the front and the back? Do you want your trees done? So it depends. It really depends how much you want done. But Gottlieb Light Installers, GottliebLights.com. I'm going to go ahead and pin. There you go. I just pinned Gottlieb in the chat. So GottliebLights.com. Of course, Parish Construction Roofing. We do have the new purple and gold Parish hats. Our colors are green, but we do have the purple and gold Parish hats. Go Tigers. All right. All right. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the posts. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. I will get to your questions, comments. If you want to fire away, I'll do my best to get to as many of them as I can. I mean, the game itself, I don't think we need to go through this. You got the ball punted. They went right down and scored 7-0. Nice answer. Tradez, who's awesome, scored 7-7. They get the ball, score again. You're down 14-7. You punt, give up a second sack at the game. But then you block the punt. How about Jace Thomas, freshman, blocks punts, 14-9. You get the ball, you go 3 and out. And but then you got the stop, man. It looked like they were going to go take control of the game. AJ Halsey comes up with the pick, which was great. You put together a really nice touchdown drive. Harlem Berry with the 7-yard touchdown run to put you up 15-14. Then you get another pick off the deflection, Monster Delane, taken by Perkins. You get a field goal before half. It's 18-14. You've scored on special teams with the blocked punt for the safety. You forced 2 turnovers, like those types of things you need to pull an upset. And then the third quarter happened, and everything went very badly. So at the end of the game, DJ Chester was in at left tackle. Karis Kern, I was told, got hurt. It was a knee. I don't know how severe, but it was a knee injury. That's why Chester was in at the end of the game at left tackle. So, all right. It says Nuss cost us a playoff spot. I'm not sure I could disagree with that more. Quite honestly, I'm super annoyed by the fans who are pinning this whole thing on Nussmeier. Because that dude has gotten the shit kicked out of him on every play. Like, are we watching the same game? That guy's getting the shit kicked out of him on every play. And he keeps getting up and playing. Like, if you're blaming this on Nussmeier, like, I mean, I'll tell you the giant crux of your issue is you went and spent a ton of money in the portal on defense. Okay, you didn't spend enough on the offensive line. You replaced 5 starters on the offensive line. Your offensive line is getting your quarterback beat to hell and back, and you don't have any time to let things develop downfield. So everything is a wide, quick pass game, and the offensive coordinator doesn't seem to want to call runs. Harlan Berry averaged 7 yards a carry in the first half. 7 yards a carry in the first half. On your first 2 drives of the second half, Harlan Berry carried the ball in the first play of the third quarter for LSU, a 3-yard run. He didn't touch it again on the first 2 drives of the second half. I mean, Berry finished with 9 runs for 59 yards. I think he had 8 at halftime. He had the 1 rush there on the first play of the third quarter and didn't touch the ball again. Like, you have to commit to running the football. They don't. Ever. And that's my biggest complaint with Joe Sloan. They just don't even try. Even when they're having success. The second half, they didn't even try to run the ball. You say, well, you got down. Well, you weren't down 3 scores the whole second half. But you didn't try. So we get some of your super chats. David, Nuss buses left town. Van Buren time. Lost patience with Joe Sloan too. Listen, if you want to blame, I'll say this. If you want to blame Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, Brad Davis, Scott Woodward, okay. Like, blame whoever you want. Like, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong on any of that stuff, because I think everybody shoulders a degree of blame for this. So whoever you want to blame. Ultimately, it all goes back to Kelly. He's the one making $10 million a year and is responsible for all this stuff. He's the one who promoted Joe Sloan into that position. Scott Woodward hired Brian Kelly. So yeah, I mean, vomit up the ladder. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be doing that. There's no justification for it anymore. Whoever you want to blame. Yeah, look, I mean, Jacob, the reason they call screens and throws in the flat is you see it every time they try to drop back 5-7 step drop. Garrett Nussmeier gets fucking killed, man. Like, they can't protect him. Like, to throw the ball downfield, you have to have time to let the receivers run downfield. And when the quarterback does a 5 or 7 step drop and he gets the shit beat out of him every play, you can't run plays downfield. So what are they doing? Snap, throw. Third play of the game, Karis Kern gave up a sack, man. Like, fourth play of the game, excuse me. They went Sharp for 2 yards, Berry for a 16-yard run, incomplete pass, then a sack. Like, why are they throwing the ball short? Because they don't have time to let the ball to let the play develop downfield. It's one of the great things that you had last year in that offensive line. We talk about their inability to run block, but the bottom line is you had a great pass blocking offensive line. They kept Garrett Nussmeier upright. Oh, she was incinerating. You know, the thing about the Bama is burning people that come after me and say LSU is burning. First of all, it's fucking lazy. Get your own bit. But what I would tell you is, like, this is actually what LSU is. And I know LSU fans don't like to hear that, but the reality is LSU has been, for the last 25 years, an average of a 8.5 win team a year. And about every half decade, you pop a big one. I mean, that's the reality. Like, you're not a team that wins double digits every year. You're about an 8-9 win team per year. And then about every half decade, you pop a big one. That's what LSU's done for the last, since Nick got here, really. So I don't think LSU's burning. I think it's just what they are. They are what they are. This is a really disappointing year. Massively disappointing year, considering all the buy-in and investment, your preseason top 10. And it was warranted, given your return in Nuss. And, fuck, Lee Corso picked him to win the national championship. Lee Corso picked LSU to win the national championship. You got to beat on the financial situation of the boosters. Kelly going, what's your thoughts? Be honest. This is unacceptable, even you know it. So I've told you it's unacceptable. So I know that comment was a bit ago. So anyone who's just joined, I'm not in any way saying that this is acceptable. It's losing is one thing. Losing the manner in which you lost tonight, just getting so thoroughly dominated at home with your season, your playoff hopes on the line, wholly unacceptable. But I went through it. If you missed it at the beginning of the show, a week ago, it did not sound like there was a great appetite. I'm curious if that changes. Like, I'll make phone calls tomorrow, and I'm curious if that starts to change. And if not tomorrow, in 2 weeks, if you lose to Bama, and then if you lose to Oklahoma, and this thing starts to unravel. See? Master Oak. A&M player made you so special. I caught the ball. Douchebag, LSU's burning. The typical Alabama guy that you'd expect. Considering you're talking about an Alabama team that keeps escaping against Missouri, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, your day's coming. And you know your day's coming. That's okay. And when your day comes, I'll be here to laugh at you. Because, as I've said since the day I started that whole bit, my joy in watching Alabama lose has nothing to do whatsoever with the state of LSU. I just like watching you cunt flaps lose and cry and bitch and moan. And your day's coming. I'm going to laugh at you when you do. Lee, did you read Brian Kelly's lips at the end of the first half? Called play, second was off. I did actually. I took the video and tweeted it. He said, so they ran a play. It was the third down play. So they're out of timeouts. So LSU they're at the 16. At first down, run a timeout. Kelly and us were yelling at each other about that. First down was incomplete pass. Second down, they ran Caden Durham for 3 yards, burned the last timeout. So it's 3rd and 7. You have no timeouts. It's 3rd and 7. And they throw a pass in the left flat to Xavier Thomas, which is incomplete. And Brian Kelly yells at Joe Sloan, like, what the fuck are you doing calling that play with no timeouts? And he's not wrong. You have to throw the ball to the sticks because if he's tackled in bounds, it's fourth down. You can't clock it, and you just have to do the fire drill. Now, running your field goal unit out there to try to kick the field goal and hope that you're able to execute and have enough time to do so. So he's not wrong in that respect. Chandler, embarrassing, outcoached, done with BK. Charles, to think they announced ticket price increase, very bad timing for the ticket price increase, no doubt. Would love to hear the locker room speech. Pitchforks at dawn, Matt. Let's ride this phony out of town. This is beyond unacceptable. Well, I'll tell you this much. When I finish this show, I'm going to go record Locked on LSU. So it's going to be a late night for your boy. I'm not going to be up at dawn. So if you want to ride with Pitchforks at dawn, you can do that. And if you want to stroke a check to buy out his contract, you can do that too. But I'm also not one that's very much in the business of telling people how to spend their money. So the people who no-showed tonight and left early, God bless you. I don't blame you. I'm sitting my ass in my house. I didn't go to that game. So I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for no-showing or you're wrong for leaving early. And I'm not going to tell anybody what they should do to spend their money on a buyout or anything like that. Hang on. Shit. Whew. That was close. Your boy almost burnt his hand. Fire Brian Kelly, hire Lane Kiffin. Would he come here over Florida? I do believe that if Lane were to pick either job, he would take LSU over Florida. I do know also that in 2022, he didn't even get an interview from either LSU or Florida, and he was very pissed about that. The other thing that's interesting about just the current state of college football and everything is I think the real question to ask is if Lane Kiffin can win a championship at Ole Miss. And if you can win a championship at Ole Miss, why would you leave? I mean, Vanderbilt is in the top 10 right now. Indiana is the number 2 team in the country. And they look really good. And Ole Miss won today at Oklahoma. I guess I just look and I go, the conversations we were having even 4 years ago about hiring coaches and what jobs are better, like Texas Tech, SMU, I mean, they're all Vanderbilt. They're all proof now. Like, you don't have to be at LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Southern Cal. Like, you don't have to be at one of those places to win. If you have financial buy-in from your boosters on your roster, you can win. But if you were to, I'll come to that in a second. But just real quick, if you were to ask me point blank, would I take Lane Kiffin today over Brian Kelly in a fucking millisecond? Absolutely. Kind of embarrassment at home in prime time is what gives donors the appetite to get the money together. Donors don't want to stand for their alma mater. Be a laughing stock. My plan, fire Kelly, make Blake Baker head coach of discount. Yeah, see, like, that's also not the thing that's going to happen. And by the way, like, you just watch Blake Baker's defense tonight give up 100 to Texas A&M. You want to fucking hire Blake Baker? look, I love Blake Baker. I love his attitude. I love his vibe. I love his energy. Like, but let's get fucking real, man. Like, you couldn't get off the field against Trinidad Chambliss. You couldn't get off the field last week against Diego Pavia. You gave up 100 tonight to Texas A&M. Like, that's your answer? That's your answer? It's not my answer. ND fans trying to warn y'all. LSU fans, y'all didn't listen. ND fans are also like squirrely little bitches who should probably thank Brian Kelly for leaving because of the scorn of him leaving is why they started to loosen recruiting and admission standards and start to spend in NIL and actually start to build a football program again, which they didn't do under him for a decade, which is why they were always handicapped and why he was a good enough coach to get them to a playoff, to a BCS championship. But when he ran up against an Alabama or a Clemson or an LSU, they got shit kicked out of him because they didn't have the roster. And because he left, they were so scorned. They were like, what do we need to do? Well, now they're putting together a nice roster. We'll see what they do. And by the way, they got the shit kicked out of them in the championship game last year. Looked pretty familiar. Let's see. Shandy. Kelly needs to time. Give him time. Started winning the SEC. Give him an extension. Sure. If BK gets fired, who's the next hire? Listen, I'll put it to you this way. I think it's hard to answer that question without knowing who would make that hire. Because realistically, I don't think Scott Woodward is firing Brian Kelly. So if Brian Kelly gets fired, I don't think it's Scott Woodward firing him. I think you'd be replacing your athletic director and your head coach. I don't know anything. I'm just telling you that's my opinion on the matter. I'm giving you a somewhat educated opinion on the matter. And I think that's rooted in the hierarchy up to the governor, right? And remember, like, you have a board right now that is you have a search committee that's about to make recommendations to hire a new president of the university. And the president and the board work at the pleasure of the governor, and that's who hires the athletic director. So, like the university administration, which works for the governor. So there has to be alignment there. And who they hire to be the president of the university, I think, is a big part of that decision. Inexcusable. Harlan Berry averaged 7 yards a carry in the first half, had carried the ball in the first play of the third quarter for LSU for 3 yards, didn't touch it again. Inexcusable. Why on earth will be considered firing Scott Woodward? The LSU football coach is literally the only wrong decision he's made. So I agree with you. He hired Jay Johnson. He hired Kim Mulkey. He hired Matt McMahon, and that's not going great. We'll see how that goes this year. But I think that's more rooted in the hierarchy in the state all the way up to the governor. And there's so much involved in those decisions politically that as a fan, you don't really consider in these conversations. But it does matter, especially in a state like Louisiana. O-line is terrible. Yes. Joshua, Matt, is it realistic for firing BK? Today, I would tell you no. I don't think they're going to spend $50 million to fire him and buy him out. At minimum, I think you would be talking about significant staff changes. Offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, etc. Minimum. But you keep losing, and it keeps getting worse, and you fall to 7-5, and you keep getting blown out. Maybe. Hey, Trey Morgan, what's going on? Dalton, you can't have a pocket passer in a zone read offense, and us didn't get worse. The scheme is ass. It's the same scheme as last year. It's the same scheme as last year when he threw for 4,000 yards. You just don't have a line that can protect him. This I don't have. I think this is stupid. Harlan, I'm not saying you're stupid, but forgive me. I know a lot of people have said that. Michael Van Buren played in mop-up duty up 6 touchdowns against an FCS school. Like, you saw him tonight. The second play he was in there, he fucking got sacked. He'd be running for his life too. He doesn't make you any better. It's just different. This is what I've said all along. It's not about us. It's about the offensive line. Play calling, we've seen since Ole Miss, still about not stopping mobile quarterbacks. Garrett Nussmeier is out there playing hurt, has been playing hurt, doing everything he can to get ready, get on the field, all that shit. He gets battered every game, gets out there and continues to plug away. It's not a Nussmeier problem. It's a you can't protect him problem. So, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger appreciation toast. Cheers. And if you're confused by that, did you see the fucking first series of the game? If we aren't getting rid of Kelly and he wins in the near future, yeah, look, I mean, you'll probably lose at Bama, and then you'll come home and you'll play Arkansas, who's atrocious, and you'll play, but they have a running quarterback, and you'll play Western Kentucky. So, I mean, you should win those 2 games at home, and then you play at Oklahoma. So, I think 7-5 is probably what you're staring at. Let's see, how about letting an All-American and probably SC Defensive Player of the Year just leave? Shout out Xavier Atkins. Who would call plays if you fire Sloan during the bye week? If you fired, I don't think they're going to fire Sloan during the bye. If you did, I think Alex Atkins. Alex Atkins was the OC at Florida State, and when they went 2-10 last year, he was scapegoated. He got fired, so he could do it. I mean, Kelly's still your most experienced play caller. Talked about that earlier this week. But the head coach doesn't always want to or feel inclined to call plays with so much going on. You have to trust and delegate. That's why you got to do a good job hiring. And it is very fair at this point to say that you took a big step back from Den Brock to Joe Sloan. It's fair to say that. Jack, let's see. When you say something nice about Joe Sloan, but weird, Brian Kelly has come out to his presser. Sure. I mean, I can say plenty nice about Joe Sloan. Sloan is the offensive coordinator that called plays a year ago when you threw for 4,000 yards and you were 7th in passing offense and 25th in total offense and you averaged over 30 a game. I mean, you forget that, but he was the guy that called plays for that offense a year ago. Same quarterback, same OC. What I think they have not done a good job of, clearly, is adjusting to their personnel this year. And it's hard, man. When you can't block, it's really hard. But I also think they've tried to do too much. I think the heavy rotation of receivers has not served them well. I don't think it's allowed a lot of guys to get in a rhythm and flow. It's a bummer. Hey, Matt, behind enemy lines in Alabama. I have tickets for November. Get a lot of shit here, but I've seen miracles before. Real talk. So I get the tickets away. Now go to the game, man. Go to the game, support your team. I tell you this, man. Look, I know when things suck, it's awful. We've all been through it before. We've been through the suck. But going through the suck is what makes the good times that much better. And not that you need a pep talk right now. I get it. Everyone's pissed, and you should be pissed. This was embarrassing. But no, go to the fucking game. Go support your team. Go to the game, support your team, and remember that feeling, because when it's good, it makes you feel much better. Gave up my 440 tonight. First time they've been available since '59. I won't travel to Texas again to watch this Yankee turd. Kurt, what's up? Brian, you hear anything on Freeze? As an Auburn fan, I'm hopeful Auburn is after Summerall. I've not heard anything on Freeze. I just would nothing that I would say is like inside information. I don't have anything for you there. Kurt, your fire in your pit is as hot as Sloan BK seat. Have a good. Yeah, I'll tell you what, special teams tonight was disappointing, man. One other thing, I know this is way down the list of complaints people have, but I am curious what's happened with Aaron Burrell. Aaron Burrell has as strong a leg of a kicker as I've seen at LSU, and he has been an automatic touchback his whole career. Like, just line it up, kick it out the end zone. He's been awesome. The last 2 weeks, he is not. I don't know that he had a touchback tonight. No. I mean, even at the start of the second half, they had the 43-yard kickoff return. So I'm a little concerned with what's going on there with Burrell. I mean, you had the illegal formation on the punt where you had to re-kick it, and when they muffed but recovered, it ended up being about a 28-yard difference because of that illegal formation. You obviously gave up a punt return for a touchdown tonight, and you did block a punt for a safety, but special teams were awful tonight. Colby, LSU got blown out at home. They want to lose to Bama in 2 weeks. I do believe BK will be done and out of Baton Rouge. Matt Kelly's hurt in the LSU rep badly. Keeping him will hurt recruiting. Don't see top players want to come play for him. I'll tell you this. I've had this conversation with Shea Dixon so many times over the years. Fans look at seasons way differently than recruits do. One of the examples I'll always give is, remember, LSU won the championship in 2007, and 2008 was a bad year. They went 7-5 in 2008, won the bowl game to go 8-5, but they finished that year after 2008 with the number one recruiting class in the country. They had Russell Shepard and Ruben Randall and all those guys. Recruits just look at it differently than you and I do. They just do. Like, they're not as concerned with LSU losing tonight as you and I are. If anything, they're thinking, oh, great, I can go in and play right away. I'll donate to the Fry Brian Kelly Fund. Clint, is it likely Sloan gets canned, or at least play calling taken away for Bama? I don't have any inside info to either of those things. I would say no to both of those. After the season, I think you will absolutely have wholesale changes. If it's not Kelly, then I would expect Sloan. Brad Davis. I mean, the ones we're all pointing to. Any winning seasons in the near future. Courtney, I'm not here to sunshine pump tonight. Okay. I'm not sitting here, I'm not here to tell you all is great and is going to be great. Clearly it's not. The thing I will tell you is, if you're looking for that, this era does allow for a rapid turnaround. You're you're a portal class away. I mean, look at Kelly's first year. You know, I mean, the last 2 years of Ogeron were a disaster. You went 5-5 in the COVID year. You went 6-7 the year after. You had 38 scholarship players. Kelly comes in, stabilizes things, gets Jaden, and you win 10 games the first year. You win the West. I mean, you can do it. You can turn, like, this era allows you to turn it around quickly. It doesn't have to be a thing where it's 3 years of high school recruiting classes and development and building towards something great. Like, you can do it quickly if you hit the portal. When it comes to running quarterbacks and evaluate the Chavis tapes. I don't know, man. Everybody else used to say third and Chavis. Do you think the mess will be nationally perceived as BK the problem or LSU? Oh, Brian Kelly will take the blame for this. The head coach always does, and rightfully so. LSU got blown out at home. If we lose to Bama, I do think Kelly will be done and fired. Y'all, I think so many of you are losing sight of the fact of what his buyout is. And LSU is just not the type of program that's going to spend that. And again, it's not just the buyout money for Kelly. You'd have to buy out Kelly. You have to buy out his staff. Then you'd have to hire a new coach, and you have to go pay the roster. Like, this just ain't the place, man. This ain't the place that has those types of funds. Kelly is the root of everything wrong. Well, root, I think you mean R-O-O-T, not R-U-T-E. But I think I know what you mean. The soul has been sucked out of Death Valley. Okay. Worse than the Curly Hallman era. Dalton, this ain't worse than the Curly Hallman era, bro. You're just fucking wrong. And I'm sure you're old enough to remember the Curly Hallman era, and so am I. This ain't fucking worse than the Curly Hallman era. You know, 2-9. I mean, come on, fam. Like, if you actually live through that and you're saying this is worse than that, fuck. Shit, bro. I was sitting in Tiger Stadium in 92 when LSU got the shit beat out of them by Tennessee. I was sitting in Tiger Stadium in 94 when they lost at home to Southern Miss. Come on, bro. It ain't that bad. It's bad because you're not a contender. And we all expect LSU to be a contender. And you're not wrong for having that expectation. But this ain't the Hallman era. Remember when you called fans dumb earlier this season for thinking we were going to be 7-5? You also called Lane Kiffin bad coach before Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin is not a great head coach. I think he is a brilliant offensive mind. I think he had a roster last year that was a championship caliber roster. And he made awful decisions in losing 3 games he had no business losing. In the same way that you think Brian Kelly's a bad coach for losing the games they've lost the way they've lost, same thing for Kiffin a year ago. And you could say, well, look at Kiffin now. Yeah, look at Kiffin now. What about Kelly in 22? You can have outliers. Can you sustain success? It's a hard thing to do. I think Lane Kiffin is a brilliant offensive coach. Maybe the best offensive coach in the country. Maybe. He's on the short list. I don't think he's a great. I don't think he is a elite head coach. Third mobile quarterback we've seen can't contain. You're right. It's true. Justin, Brian Kelly sounded steadfast in postgame. Feels like Sloan will be the first casualty and soon. I'll go listen to the postgame after this. Chandler, my dad called me asking how to find whiskey and wine. Tell him his old name is Brad. Robbie, $50 million for Brian Kelly, $3 million for staff, $12 million to replenish NIL war chest, $15 million for new head coach, $4 million for new staff. versus a fiscally conservative governor. Right. Thank you, Robbie. That's spelling it out effectively. When Brian Kelly got hired, I think the way I said it was, and the way I've said it many times is, for better or worse, you are financially bound to Brian Kelly for a decade. So you got to make it work. So would you rather spend $60 million to buy out Kelly's staff, hire then another whatever it would take to hire a new coach, and then the roster, or make staff changes, address roster deficiencies, see who you can retain, et cetera, on the staff? Man, I've talked about the Van Buren thing 100 times. Like, I don't care that Michael Van Buren went in the game when the score was 49-18 and ran around a little bit. Like, not interested. If Nuss is hurt and wants to shut it down, okay, respect. But if you think Michael Van Buren is the cure for this team because he went in up 6 touchdowns against an FCS school and looked good, or went in down 4 touchdowns tonight and ran around a little bit, I think you're missing the point. Huge ND fan, respect the LSU program. Watch Whiskey and Wine 24 Bama post game many times. Cracks me up, laughs, or gets decayed. The funny thing about Notre Dame fans is, like, Brian Kelly made Notre Dame relevant for the first time in 2 decades. Got them to playoffs twice, 14 playoff twice. Got them to BCS championship game. And they think he was their problem. And the reality is Notre Dame's problem is Notre Dame. They were their own impediment. And maybe now, in this era, they're willing to invest in their roster and loosen admission standards and things like that to build a roster that can compete. Maybe. I still don't know that's the case. We'll see. Alex, I think that's, if you want a best case for LSU, that's it. It's Brian Kelly retires after this season. Maybe they negotiate some type of a settlement of his contract. He takes a lump sum or lesser amount, goes and does TV, and LSU moves on. That's probably the best case scenario if it plays out that way. Is Graves big a booster as many thinks he is? LSU, I'll tell you the collective has 3 7-figure donors. One is Graves, the other is Gordon, and the third is, well, I guess I can say the name now because Ross Dellinger wrote about it. It's Holden Spate, who nobody knows who Holden Spate is, but look up the Forbes billionaires list and look up Holden Spate, S-P-A-H-T. And I would have never said that name but for the fact that Ross Dellinger's written about it. So anyway, you just don't have a deep roster. You have a lot of people who are wealthy who donate a lot of money, man. A lot of people who donate a lot of money. But it's not like the roster of, like, the best example is like SMU. You know, SMU, when they went into the ACC, they effectively bought their way into the ACC. It's an amazing feature story Ross did on that, where their boosters, their billionaires got together and basically told the Big 12 or the ACC, hey, just let us in. Don't even worry about the TV money for a decade. Keep it. We're good. We don't need TV money for a decade. You keep it. Just let us in. Because they knew they'd fund the program. Because they got a whole bunch of billionaire boosters that just stroke checks. LSU doesn't have that. What LSU has had, that's been its competitive advantage for years, as I've always said, is the dirt. It's Louisiana. It's the guys who are from this state who just want to play at LSU. Born, bred, just want to win, put on for LSU, put on for the boot, play for the Tigers, the culture, all of it, from Fournette and Odell and just all down the list. And that's becoming less and less of a factor for a lot of guys now in NIL and rev share. I mean, the best example is probably Jakeem Stewart. Jakeem Stewart's kid from New Orleans, recruited by Frank Wilson, who in another era, 100 times out of 100 goes to LSU. I mean, he was at AUG. He wanted to reclass, couldn't do it at AUG. Frank works his ass off to get him at Carr, to get the schedule, the reclass, all the stuff to get him to where he could graduate early and early enroll. And he goes to USC because USC paid him $2 million. LSU cut it off at 1.2. LSU was going to pay him, I think, $850. They bumped it up to like 1.2, and USC was at $2 million. So he took the $2 million, went to SC. In a different era, 100 times out of 100, that kid goes to LSU. In this era, he doesn't. All right. Please smash the like button if you would. About 4,000 of y'all still hanging on, man. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, like the page, share the post. Northern West will always dominate Southern boys. Best era in college football since the 90s, the era of independent college football. I do agree this is the best era. I disagree on the Northern wealth stuff just because there's not as much interest in the North in college football. That's the difference. In the Northeast, it's more pro towns. You don't have as, like, the South is way more, there's way more give a damn in the South than there ever will be in the North for college football, which is why college football here will always be better. Athletes are better down here too. Looks like the days of pocket passes are over. It seems you have to a double threat quarterback to be good nowadays. It's the only way that I buy that, man. Like, you could look at Ty Simpson in Alabama. He's got a little mobility, but he's not a dual threat guy. But he's got a good offensive line, keeping him upright. He's a accurate passer, makes good decisions. Nussmeier last year. Nussmeier last year was a 4,000-yard passer, man. He just had a line protecting him. Hey, Gabby, Bama 22 grad. Felt bad for LSU watching the game. Oh, don't feel bad for LSU. BK does not belong in the SEC. Awful culture fit. Players look defeated. Players definitely look defeated. I mean, it was an ass kicking. No way around that. But don't feel bad for LSU. It's what it is. It's, you know. Charles, Governor Landry tweeted, think LSU and the board needs to rethink their action. Did he really? I'm going to look up that tweet right now. Hang on. "29 minutes ago, Governor Landry, sure enough. Think LSU and the board need to rethink their actions to raise ticket prices for next year after tonight's showing." Wow. If you think politics aren't going to play a factor in LSU decision, what happens with Brian Kelly, next coach, etc., case in point. Thank you for sharing that, Charles. Sloan has to go. Michael Van Buren makes the offensive scheme work. Nuss is not mobile. Yeah, okay. Do you think Moffitt would make a world of difference? Strength and conditioning coach. Look, man, here's the thing. I love Tommy Moffitt. If you want, you probably won't, but if you want to, you can go on YouTube and look up the segment I did on AFR when it was announced Tommy Moffitt was not being retained. And I think a giant part of LSU's success over a quarter century is rooted in what Tommy Moffitt did here. And I think the world of him personally as well. Big whiskey guy, too. I also know that there were a shit pile of LSU fans that were ready to see Tommy Moffitt go. There were a shit pile of y'all who said, maybe not you, whoever specifically made that comment, but the game had passed him by, his methods were antiquated, they were getting hurt, and blah, blah, blah. And if you want, you can go look on Twitter and you can find receipts. But hindsight's 2020. Simple truth, the only reason Kelly's head coach is LSU believes it's too expensive to fire him. When will it become too expensive not to let him go? That's a great question, Matt. And I think that's the thing you have to weigh. That is a very fair question. Like, do you get to a point where you say, okay, to buy out Kelly is 53 and his staff is another, whatever it would be, 10 million or whatever. And then to hire a new coach and all. But if you don't fire him, if you retain him and this thing continues to go south, like, how much more? That's a fair question. I don't have the answer to that. Like, what is that? What is the answer to that question? I don't have that answer. I wish I had a good answer for you. I don't. But it is a fair question and one I'm sure they're going to consider. A couple more here. William, is a coaching issue or a player issue? Looking overall toughness of the team. Sometimes they look great, other times they look soft. And Ty said 499. It's layered, man. Ultimately, it all goes back to the head coach. There's no way around it. Like, the head coach is paid nearly $10 million a year to win football games. If you don't win, it all goes back to the head coach. So, just start there. I do look, obviously, you can look at this game tonight and you can see rooted in your issues the offensive line. I mean, look, Texas A&M tonight had 7 sacks, 11 TFLs. 7 sacks, 11 TFLs. I mean, Brian Kelly's not blocking. Brad Davis isn't blocking. But the reason you have a unit out there that isn't or can't, the blame goes to the coaches. So it's a multi-pronged answer to your question. It's a good question. It's a fair question. But it always goes back to the coaching there. All right. No, so it makes me wonder if Brian Kelly was part of the Underwood flip, not just the money. It was 100% the money. I mean, man, there's some private conversations I had with that whole thing that I'm not going to relate here, and you just would have to choose to believe me or not. That was they paid him $12 million. I mean, they paid him $12 million, bro. That's what it was. All right. Oh, starting to rain. All right. Starting to rain. Good time to bail anyway. All right. Yeah, I'm getting wet. I'm going to go record Locked on LSU. Y'all do me a favor. Please subscribe, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. As always, Parish Construction Roofing. We'd love to help you out. Roof repairs, roof replacements, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. And got lit light installers. It's raining. Whew. All right. Hey, tonight sucks. No way around it. Awful day. Awful day of football. Awful game. Awful time. Get your ass kicked by Texas A&M. Third loss. Playoffs are done. Sucks. Not even November yet. No way around it. Bumpy road ahead for the remainder of the season. It'll be fascinating to see what decisions they make at the highest level, and when I have any information to share, I'll share. So, all right. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook like the page, share the post. Shout out Parish got lit. And now it is really raining, so I'm going to go. All right. Shit. There it is. There it is. Getting out of the rain, bro. All right. All right, y'all got y'all got a view of the of what I look at. TV on the wall, looking wall, that stuff. Anyway. All right. Fittingly, here comes the rain. Good time to end. I'm going to record Locked on LSU. Subscribe to Locked on LSU if you haven't done so yet. Podcast, YouTube. See you.